What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Good Game Reviews. Here to do another game prediction. We have the Week 16 matchup, Monday Night Football, Buffalo Bills versus New England Patriots. Let's just go ahead and get into the comparisons. Starting off with the quarterbacks, we have Josh Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. He's having a really good season. 4,000 passing yards, 30 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, QBR of 79.9, which is third in the league. He's having a really good year, you know. If it wasn't for Rodgers or Mahomes, he would definitely be in the front for MVP. But overall, he's still having a really good year. Definitely the addition of Stephon Diggs helped him out tremendously. I was hoping that the Patriots probably could have snagged him, but, that's old news. But yeah, the addition of him definitely, took his game to a new level, and he's having a fantastic season. Really no cons I could really give on him. I mean, he's doing good. So let's just go ahead and move on to the Patriots quarterback, Cam Newton, where we could talk all day about cons. Speaking of Cam Newton, hold up for a second because I want to show you something. I want to show you something real quick. Yeah, my friend Dakota, he got me this jersey. Got me this jersey for Christmas. Now, he said it was partially a joke, but he also wanted to get me a Cam Newton jersey because he knew that I wanted one earlier on. So he went out and got me one anyway. So I don't know whether to thank him or to talk some more smack on him, but I'm just going to say thank you, man. But yeah, speaking of Newton, he hasn't had the year that a lot of us wanted him to have. There's no easy way to say this. I mean, he's been struggling. Let's just be honest about it. He hasn't looked like himself from the past few seasons. He can't throw the ball accurately. Doesn't matter, short passes, intermediate passes, long passes. He seemed to struggle with them all through the season. It shows with his touchdown interception ratio: 5 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Passer rating of 70. It's not exactly 70, but it's in the 70 range. Not good. That's different from a QBR rating and a passer rating. For a passer rating, that's very low. But he's not having a really good season. There's a lot of guesses. There's a lot of people giving their input on what it could be. Is it just that he's still hurt? Is it just that he doesn't have it anymore? Is it the weapon surrounding him? You can go into it and have a discussion about it, and somebody's going to have some good points, but we can't accurately pinpoint it. Just looking at this season as a whole. So, I mean, whether it's either one of those things or all of those things, the fact is Cam Newton just hasn't looked good this season, and I can't give him the advantage in any matchup going forth. We only got one game left, and I probably won't even be able to give him the advantage in that one. So, I mean, he just has to either do better next year, and that's saying if they even choose to bring him back next year, but that's to be decided. As far as the running back matchup goes, I'm giving this advantage to the Patriots. Now, no slight on what Zach Moss and Devin Singletary has done in that offense. Just hasn't been, completely enough for me to say that it's better than what Damian Harris and Sony Michel bring. Both of those two are averaging over 5 yards per carry, which is more than what the Buffalo Bills offer. They're averaging more yards per game. And also, Damian Harris has, more yards than any of the other running backs, whether it's on the Patriots side or the Buffalo Bills side. So, yeah, I have to go with the Patriots on this one. Interestingly enough, if you look at all of their rushing numbers, they come in top 10 in the league in a lot of categories, except for, I want to say, one category where they came in 11th. But other than that, it was pretty much just, top 10 for the New England Patriots in rushing categories. So, I mean, as surprised as I was to read that, it is what it is. As far as wide receiver goes, I have to give this advantage to the Buffalo Bills. I can throw out all the numbers I want. Um, the fact that Stephon Diggs leads all wide receivers in reception yards. Hey, I mean, I don't even have to say anything else after that. Cole Beasley's doing a good job. Gabriel Davis, the rookie, he's doing a good job. Cole Beasley actually has over 900 yards receiving this season, which is phenomenal. I remember a lot of Patriots fans was lobbying for him to come over to New England, but he chose to go to the Bills. But their wide receiver core is pretty solid. It is a pretty solid wide receiver core. They're doing good things, especially in light of John Brown being on IR, not being able to participate with the team this season. I know that hurts him, but despite that, they've done a fantastic job in terms of getting production from the wide receivers. Now, if we look over at the Patriots side of the ball, that hasn't been the case. Their best guy, Julian Edelman, he's missed a substantial amount of time. Doesn't look like he's going to return anytime soon. I think he's pretty much done. It's really it's no point of even bringing him back. It's just better to just let him sit out. Only 1 week left, not going to the playoffs. No reason to rush him back in, if he's not physically ready. So he's pretty much done. As far as N'Keal Harry, I gotta say it. He's a bust. I've been pulling for him since he's gotten here. I hope he does well. Maybe he can do well somewhere else. Maybe he can go to another team and they could find his strengths and he could, have a really good season, and then we'll be the ones looking dumb. Like, wow, you couldn't find a way to make this guy work. I mean, he's fantastic. Maybe that can happen for him, but it's just not working here. It just doesn't seem like he has it, and it might be time, somewhere down in the near future to just move on from him, because he hasn't cut it. He's been here 2 years and hasn't shown anything as a first-round draft pick. The only wide receiver that I think would have a chance of even coming back in the next season is Jacoby Myers, who has been a standout for us. You could also say Damiere Byrd, but I don't think he's done nearly enough for the Patriots to bring him back. But they might go ahead and bring him back. They don't really have a lot of options as of right now. Depending on what they do in the draft or what they do in the offseason, they don't really have too much to work with right now, so they might just keep him anyway. But Jacoby Myers is really the only guy who stands out for me. But yeah, I give the advantage to the Buffalo Bills on this one. As far as the tight ends, I also give the advantage to the Buffalo Bills. Dawson Knox, good tight end. Croft, good tight end. They're doing all right. They're doing all right. Not the most solid numbers. Then again, they haven't played a full season. Dawson Knox, he's only played 10 games, so can't really expect a lot from his stats. Can't really look into his stats too much. But they're having a better season than the Patriots tight ends, obviously. Interestingly, the main tight end for the Patriots, Ryan Izzo, who's pretty much started majority of the games that the Patriots have played, he's on IR. Jordan Thomas, a guy that they picked up later on during this season, he is ruled out for this game coming up, so he's not going to be a participant. So their only tight ends that they're going to be bringing in is Dalton Keene and Devin Asiasi, who just so happen to be the Patriots rookie tight ends that they picked up in the 3rd round in the last draft. As of right now, they haven't really shown a lot, especially in Devin Asiasi's case. He hasn't even registered a catch this season, which was phenomenal. Well, not phenomenal, oh, that's great. Like, it's just mind-blowing that this guy that they picked up in the 3rd round, the first tight end that they chose, hasn't registered a single catch and only has a handful of attempts. It's crazy. Well, handful of targets. Cam Newton, he just hasn't been passing it to these young tight ends. It's either he doesn't trust them, or they're not running the right routes. I'm not sure what the answer is on that, but they're not producing. Um, Dalton Keene, a guy that I lobbied heavily for during last year's offseason, before the draft, was ecstatic when they did draft him. Um, I haven't seen anything from him. Now he's also had his share, of troubles. He's been injured. He hasn't had good playing time with the Patriots. Deciding to go with Izzo time after time again. Even though Izzo's not a starting tight end, they've just decided that he's the best option, which is crazy, but it is what it is. So these guys, they just haven't produced. Maybe it's just that they haven't had a chance to produce. Maybe they'll see what they can do next year. Maybe they'll go ahead and get another tight end anyway, and they can have those two duke it out with the tight end that they bring in from the draft. Who knows? But as of right now, they just haven't done enough. As far as the O-line goes, I'm going with the Patriots on this one. Interestingly enough, the Patriots actually have a solid offensive line. They're ranked 9th in the league in terms of passing. They're ranked 10th in terms of running the ball. They're ranked 11th. They're able to do a lot of good things on that O-line, considering that they don't have a good number of starting guys in there. And there were times during the season where, they had a lot of shifting on that offensive line. Michael Owenu, he's been a steal, just an absolute steal. Got him in the 6th round. He's played all over the offensive line, from right guard to left guard to right tackle, sometimes a little bit of left tackle, but he's been phenomenal. He's played all over, and the fact that he didn't get a Pro Bowl nomination is just crazy to me, but maybe he'll get all. I don't know. He's just been too good not to get recognized this season, so it's just crazy to me. But he's done pretty well. You have guys who are out like Isaiah Wynn, guys who opted out like Marcus Cannon. They've just gone through a lot in terms of personnel, but somehow they found a way to put together a strong offensive line week after week. So it's just amazing to see. As far as the Bills, they're ranked 17th with being ranked 14th in passing and 17th in rushing. So that was an interesting stat that I was able to find. As far as the O-line situation goes, I know that it's not going to make too much of a difference in this game. As far as whose O-line is better, but it does help. So let's just, I guess, hold on to one of those small advantages that the Patriots do have over the other team. As far as defensive end goes, I'm going with the Bills on this one, simply because of production, sacks, tackles for loss. They have it all. They have it all. Same with defensive tackle. Ed Oliver is a beast in the middle of that defensive line. They just have a lot of playmakers spread out over the field, which we're going to get into. Next with the linebackers, who also get the advantage on the Bills side. Tremaine Edmonds, he's had a good year. A.J. Klein, he's had a good year. Milano, he's had, a pretty solid year. Just a very talented core of linebackers on that squad. That front seven is just, vicious. So, it's not too many, things you can knock them on. With the Patriots, though, your only standouts really, Chase Winovich, Lawrence Guy, and Adam Butler on that defensive line. And as far as linebacker goes, you could probably throw in, Uche, who doesn't offer a lot in production, but, it's just a nice piece to see, and hopefully he could, develop more into a playmaker, moving on into the future, because he definitely has the ability, and we've seen it in, small little spurts throughout this season. So once he gets fully implemented into the team, into that defense where they trust him and they put him out on more plays, then we'll probably see him, flourish a lot more. Also, you can add Terrace Hall in there. He's been a pretty good surprise. being a practice squad guy, I didn't know how long he was, going to last on this defense, but he's become a trusted member of this squad. It's been nice to see him play. So the Patriots have some good pieces, just not better than what the Bills are offering. So they pretty much get, the advantage in all those categories. Moving on to the secondary side of the football. Cornerback, I'm giving the advantage to the New England Patriots on this one. As far as, same thing I said with the other categories, production, it plays a key in this. And speaking of production, nobody gets more production than J.C. Jackson. The kid has been a beast. 13 passes defended, 8 interceptions, which is second in interceptions. He only has to get one more interception to tie with Xavier Howard for first, and another interception to pass him. And he has the chance to do it, going into this next game. It just seems like when it comes to J.C. Jackson and Josh Allen, it's just a matchup to look after, because it seems like J.C. Jackson can somehow get a pick on Josh Allen in every matchup. We've seen it in a few matchups, before now. It just seems like when it comes to those two, J.C. just seems to get something off of Josh each game. So let's see if J.C. can bring some of that magic into this game, and see if he can get that 9th or that 10th pick. As far as just the overall cornerback room, it's just a solid group. Stephon Gilmore hasn't looked like the Stephon Gilmore of last year, the Defensive Player of the Year, but he's had his moments in this season. He's also had some injury troubles throughout the season, just injury riddled all over the Patriots squad. But yeah, he's had his troubles. It'll be interesting to see exactly what they decide to do with him going into this next season. They tried to trade for him for a first-round pick during the trade deadline. They couldn't get any biters, so they decided to just hang on to him. We'll see what they do with him next year. Hopefully we can, keep him, but if not, just have to, deal with that. It is what it is, pretty much. As far as safety goes, I decided to also give the advantage to the Patriots on this one. Now, in terms of production, it's not too wide. It's not too wide in terms of production. It's just that they offer a little bit more in terms of interceptions, in terms of passes defended. So just things like that, but nothing too, noticeable. In terms of, sorry about that. In terms of special teams, I decided to give the advantage to the Patriots on this one also. All year, they've had a really great special teams unit. Kickoff returns, the kicking game, Nick Folk, he's been incredible this season. And a string of weird things that happened in 2020, Nick Folk is a great kicker. So let's just look at that. And let's just be grateful for that. Nick Folk is a great kicker. In terms of the punting game, Jake Bailey, in my opinion, the best punter in the league. He's had a phenomenal year yet again. Only his second year. The kid's he's been fantastic. And you have a lot of studs just over that special team unit as a whole. Matthew Slater, Justin Bethel, Cody Davis. Just a great group of guys. Really good special teams unit. So I give the advantage to them. In terms of coaching, I'm gonna go with Sean McDermott as far as like the coaching advantage goes. I just feel like he's done everything to put his team in the best possible position to win. They went out, they drafted well, they did a lot of good things in the offseason, bringing in some good names, bringing in contributors to this team. Found a way to get the most out of his squad, and he's done a fantastic job with Josh Allen. He's just done a good job this season. He's been really good. So the fact that he has his team in a good spot in the playoffs, just got to tip your hat to him. Bill Belichick, he's made some questionable decisions during the season in terms of drafting, in terms of personnel. I feel like especially with the quarterback position, I feel like this is more of a matter of pride for Bill Belichick. The decision to go ahead and go with Cam this late in the season when there's nothing to really gain from it, it's not like they're fighting for a playoff spot. You could pretty much put in Jarrett Stidham just to see what he could do in these next two games. I think it would be, just good to see what he would actually look like starting a game, because Jarrett Stidham hasn't started. He hasn't started a game this entire season, in a season where before Cam came over, they were expecting Jarrett Stidham to be the starter. Even in the Week 4 matchup against the Chiefs, where Cam Newton went down with COVID, you had a chance to put Jarrett Stidham in, and you decide to go with Brian Hoyer, and you don't put Jarrett Stidham in until like the third quarter, like middle of the third quarter. So I just thought that was pretty strange. The things that they decided to do with him. It's just Bill Belichick. He just hasn't, done enough to help this team out. And hopefully he can, make some things work next year. They have a little extra money, but who's to say, But it just hasn't been Bill's year this year, so I can't give him too much praise, as I like to often do. So, hey, it is what it is. Overall, Bills pretty much win in terms of the advantage side of things. And if I had to give a prediction for this score, Patriots, they're riddled with injuries. They're pretty beat up. Haven't done enough, on offense to show that they can keep up with the Bills. Bills obviously, look like a team that can push the ball down the field. If the Patriots defense isn't able to step up and slow some of those drives down, especially in the running game, which they've struggled a lot throughout the season. If they're not able to put a stop on that, this could turn into an ugly game real quick. The best possible outcome I see of this is the Patriots losing by, I want to say, 10 points. So another 10-point loss. Patriots go into next week, they go against the Jets, and we get to see, what that matchup looks like. I usually like to be a little more optimistic about my team, but I have to be realistic, in terms of, just of what I've seen so far. And we're in week 16 where you can't sugarcoat a lot of things. We just have to look at, what you have and, be honest about it. So I give this dub to the Bills. We'll see what happens, though. Anything can happen in a football game. So we'll just see how it shakes out. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I said, next week we have the Jets, which will be the last game of the season. And after that, maybe I'll put out some mock draft content off season, thinking about what they should do in terms of concerns and all that. But, we'll see. Until next time, I'm out.